are going to make a start. Hello guys, and welcome back to another tier list update video. It's 5.5. Season 5 has been in full swing, so has the Pro League, and we have quite a lot of data to back up some of the movers and shakers in this bi-weekly tier list update. Just as a preface to begin with, Achilles is not going to be available for SPL this week, so as such he will not be put onto the tier list. Instead, he is going to be put up onto the tier list in 5.6, which is going to be in a couple weeks' time. If you want just a quick overview of where he probably is right now, I would say A+, maybe S-, given his viability in multiple roles, as well as his high damage output in the early and mid-game, as well as his survivability and good teamfight presence in that late game. But without further ado, let's get started. So, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently this time. For the last few tier list update videos, I've just come in unprepared without any notes and had a look at the tier list and went on gut feeling alone. This time I've sat down with the tier list and I've come up with a few gods which need to be changed, need to be moved around, and a couple of notes on as to why they will be changed around. Hopefully it feels a bit more fluid, a bit more professional from me. So, without further ado, let's get started. Cuchulain is going to be the first mover. Recently got changed in 5.5. No longer gets the abilities which he does not have a level in when he transforms. And as such, his support viability has come crashing down. Really only played it in solo lane and doesn't win into every single matchup. Most notably, Osiris and Camazotz do have a very good time against the Cuchulain pick. And gods like Sobek, who we might be talking about later, wink wink, wink wink, nudge nudge, you never know, they do well against the Cuchulain as well. And as such, Cuchulain going to be moving all the way down to A+. No. This stupid website will allow me. Can't be that difficult. Can't be that difficult. Am I not allowed to move things? I need to edit first. Whoops. Yeah, it's going to go move down to A+. There we go, I can move it now. Apologies for that. But yeah, he's going to move down to A+, reasons just explained. He Bo is going to be the next god to be talking about. Hasn't seen full participation in picks and bans recently. Has been let through multiple times, not touched by either team. And that relates back to his 5.3 nerfs where they lowered the damage from his water spout. And also increase the cooldown on his water carpet. So his survivability comes down a bit, his burst comes down a bit, and it seems to be more in line with other mages right now, and other mages having access to Soul Gem brings their burst up a bit, so it's at a point where He Bo is contesting rather than being outright the best burst god in the game from mages. Still has viability in both the jungle and in mid, and I believe some like minor league players are still looking to play him in the ADC position. That's mainly an NA thing, though. I don't really see the viability in it. But as such, that's still a potential to be picked for him. So with 2, maybe 3 roles potentially available to the He Bo, and with him still having being picked and enjoying some success in the SPL, he is going to be moving down to S-. Still a strong pick, still would take it above quite a lot of different mages, but no longer one of the gods that's controlling picks and bans. A god that is controlling picks and bans by being there for 100% of the games, pretty much banned consistently by the team that is second pick, sometimes by the team that is first pick, is Thoth. He is finally making his move up to S+. I honestly thought he was going to get nerfed. I honestly thought that some of the data that we were getting from him wasn't going to be as extreme as it was. But it turns out he is going to be 100% picks banned in the SPL. And when he does get let through, he basically controls the game. Reasoning of him for being in S before was, normally teams have had practice on him, therefore if he got let through in picks and bans, I thought his performances wouldn't be up to the standard of an S+ character, but they are, and he rightfully goes back up to S+. He is close to moving up to SS, but he is not an SS character at all. There's still ways to beat him, there's still counters to him, and it doesn't exactly carry a game 1 versus 5. Goddess that got hit in the most recent patch is Da Chi. Did get touched in the Mass Assassin nerf of 5.4, and that's because Heartseeker, one of the synergistic items that she had, did get touched, and they thought, we'll see exactly where she lies afterwards, and then look at her again in 5.5 if it needs be. Surprise, surprise, she needed nerfs, and surprise, surprise, in 5.5, she received said nerfs. The burst in the mid and late game comes down thanks to a scaling nerf, and from that, she's now more in line with some of the other assassins in the game. As such, going to be moving down to A, in a completely balanced state, in my opinion. Still has good control of the battlefield, still has good control in team fights, but it's not as front-loaded on the burst as she was before. Going to pick something that's front-load on burst. Loki's still an option. You could pick He Bo if you wanted to. You could either go for a more surprising jungler like Susano, or even Naja, who, spoiler alert, will not be moving this patch. Not be moving this tier list update. Two gods which we're going to do in similar tandem are going to be two basic attack gods that find themselves in S. And that's going to be Bellona and Erlang Shen. Osiris, he's still staying up in S, seeing consistent play in the SPL, doing extremely well when he is picked. Mainly because he does have that damage mitigation towards the entire team. Thanks to that Judgment Tether, just reducing the damage is something absolutely bonkers. But Bellona and Erlang Shen have not really been picked up, and they haven't really seen any SPL play at all. I thought we were going to see a lot of Erlang Shen support. Back when Season 5 was still young, a lot of Erlang Shen support came out, they gave a ton of pressure, were able to get kills very early on, and you couldn't really fight it. It was similar to how Cuchulain was being played recently, but a lot more aggressive and dive-heavy at level 1. Just wasn't the case. He did recently receive some buffs to help him out because of the loss of Death's Toll, but he still lacks that overarching control that you really want from that solo laner. Can still bring good damage to the teamfights, can still bring good pressure to that solo lane, just has quite a few struggling matchups. As such, he's going to be moving down to A+ as well. I don't know how I'm going to do this. There we go. He's going to be moving down to A+. We have a... going to going down the tier list, so don't worry, this is probably going to be freeing up a slight bit later on. And as for Bellona, not going to be joining Erlang Shen down in A+, actually going to move all the way down to A. The reason Erlang Shen is a bit higher is because I feel he can perform a bit better in 2 roles rather than having to perform in just one, which is Bellona's jungle. With Bellona's solo lane, sorry, Erlang Shen can go both jungle and solo lane and do extremely well in both roles. Hence why he's going to be staying here in A+. Moving a bit down the tier list, we have 2 movers who started off in the S category. They're going to be these 2 right here, Camazotz and Ulla. Camazotz, currently considered probably the best solo lane pick in the game. You know, I would just heads up, I was playing that at PTS of Season 5, and I was saying and praising it from the very beginning, you know, just... Yeah, he's been dominating picks and bans recently, pretty much picked every single game, conflicts to the jungle as well. Really one of the best first picks you can ever have in SMITE. And as such, he's going to be moving up to S+. These 4 gods here are your S+ gods. You're going to be seeing these every single game without fail. Watch for the picks and bans this week. These 4 will have 100% participation, I guarantee it. Maybe even next week as well. Ulla is the next one we're going to be talking about. ADCs are currently not in a good spot, let's be honest. And as such, you're going to be looking more towards his ability-based hunters to fill in that void, to fill in that role. Ulla is the best ability-based ADC in the game. He is renowned for it. And as such, he's going to be moving up to S. Not joining the S+ characters, just moving up to S. Alongside Hachiman, who has been picked up a fair bit. Not as much as Ulla, but I believe he's still going to be having some good performances this week, which will justify his S placement currently. That's going to do it for us for the S- gods. Gods that started off in A+. Cerberus is first on the list. Tentatively put him in A+ after we hadn't seen him at all in Season 4, considering he wasn't available then. Comes into Season 5, has some good performances on some players, not so great performances on other players, but now teams are starting to figure out, and players are starting to get the hang of this god, starting to play around it extremely well, and starting to utilize the control, the absolute insane control that he brings to team fights. Has a fantastic laning phase as well, can flex both support and solo laner. He's going to be moving up to S-. Just a small jump for now. I don't think he's on par with gods like Athena or Geb, who have dedicated roles. Athena with a good flex pick into the jungle. But I think he's still a fantastic pick that you'll be seeing a whole lot during the SPL, but don't be surprised if he gets through a few games. Isis is going to be the next god to have a look at. Recently got buffed in terms of extra damage and extra damage mitigation on that Circle of Protection. Really does live up to that name now, Circle of Protection. Yikes. She's going to be moving up as well, joining Cerberus again in that S- tier. The Queen of Objectives is back. She is going to be destroying Gold Furies, Parademons, Pyromancers, and Fire Giants in your games, in the SPL, and people are going to cry when they let this Isis through. Still suffers from the same problems she did do before the buffs. They're still very susceptible to being just piled on. The Circle Protection damage mitigation buff really helps her out in that regard, but only in that late game. The early game, she's still very susceptible and very easy to just gank and kill to begin with, and suffers from the same counter matchups that she did before, like Odin. Sobek. We talked about Sobek earlier on today, how considering he is a fantastic solo lane pick, that could also flex into the support role. Doesn't lose solo lane. Legitimately just does not lose solo lane. There is no god out there that goes, I'm beating Sobek every single matchup. That just doesn't happen. Sobek cannot be beaten. He's going to be moving up to S. One of the only gods you'll ever see picked into a Camazotz really, and your solo lane is going to be like, yeah, I'm happy with this. I can deal with this. Sobek. S tier god right now. I don't think he needs nerfs. I think he is currently favorable due to the way the meta is. The second the meta comes out, the second gods like Camazotz, who are so lane dominant, go out of the meta, Sobek might start falling out as well. He's just there as a, I want to stop the bullshit in solo lane, please leave me the fuck alone. Few more gods to go through. Sol is going to be the next one, and we're going to be talking about Kronos a bit later on. Just a little bit of a spoiler. Sol is going to be moving up. Similar to when we talked about Ulla, ability-based, auto-attack-based gods are in right now. Gods like Ram and your gods like Artemis, they're not going to be played. We're going to be waiting until next week to see if Ram gets any play, otherwise he will be moving down similar to Jingwei. I think Jingwei's going to get more play than Ram, but that's next week's. But still, back on track to Sol. Seeing good amount of play in mid lane and sometimes in ADC. Two roles, flexibility really makes her a difficult god to read in picks and bans. As such, it's going to be moving up. Just a slight move up right now to A+. We'll see where she lands after this week's play of SPL. And maybe even next week's as well, because, well, there's a 2-week break between tier list updates. Never know where she could wind herself up in the S tier afterwards, so she could just wind herself back up into A+ still. Or even move down if the meta shifts away from these auto-attack-based, ability-based auto-attackers and into something else like, I don't know, mages in the ADC position like Zeus. Don't see that happening at all, but never know, could happen. Nuwa is going to be the next one to change. Moved her up from A- to A tentatively because we haven't seen the effects of the Soul Gem buff onto Nuwa. They've gone as predicted. Soul Gem is absolutely crazy on Nuwa, hitting everybody for upwards of 700 damage on her ultimates in the late game. You combine that with a Nemesis. I don't think you're going to see Nemesis, but this is just a hypothetical situation. Nemesis ult, Nuwa ult, bang, squishes out of the game. There's no counterplay to it. If you have an Aegis, you Aegis one of the ults, you don't Aegis the other one. You Aegis the Nemesis ult, congratulations, your protections are still shredded. You Aegis the Nuwa ult, congratulations, he's still half health from the Nemesis ult. There's a disgusting combo that you're going to be seeing a lot of. The Nuwa actually is going to be one of our biggest jumpers this week. Going to be moving all the way up to S tier. Consistently dominating picks and bans in the last week of SPL, and I believe it's going to be doing the exact same in this one. Kronos is going to be the next one we talk about. Similar situation to Sol. You want an explanation as to why Kronos is going to be moving up? Rewatch what happened with Sol. He's going to be moving up just a tier as well into A. I think right now you're going to be seeing a lot more Sol than you will do Kronos, hence Kronos just moving up behind Sol still. The mana is going to be the next one that we are going to be talking about, and just seriously, the mana jungle. I didn't see it coming out this split. I didn't see it coming out this season. I didn't see it coming out last season, but it did, and it worked. And this season it works again. The mana going to be moving up into a proven viability outside of needing the draft around it. Balanced character. We saw that teams built sprints, they built wing blades, they built everything that they could to try and get away from this mana, and they couldn't. And it just chased him down, basic attacked him down, and they couldn't peel him because of his CC immunity ultimate. In fact, trying to peel the mana when he's in its CC immune ultimate just made the CC immunity last longer. They played it extremely well, and I can't wait to see where they go with it next. Wait to see if they bring out any other characters down here next. There's viability, and I have to move them up because I have to. 2 more gods to go through, and one of them is in B, one of which is in C. I think you guys can guess exactly which ones they are. Chiron and Arpwash. I'm kidding. Terra is going to be the first one we talk about. Hasn't seen a lot of play in the SPL, but up until recently, that is. You're going to have to thank Emilzy for this one, because, well, obviously he's going to find a way to make Terra viable and then play the ever-living shit out of her. So, thank you, Emilzy. You can block the waves at level 1 at the spawn point, or at the Phoenix if you're blocking the mid-wave. You can control who wins buff invade timings. You can control a lot of the early game just by blocking one of 2 waves. Either the mid lane or the dual lanes waves. Depending on which one you're going to think that they're going to play into. That ultimate as well is a big impact in teamfights if you're able to play around it correctly. Which teams like Energy, teams like Rival, and teams like Dignitas, teams like Space Station, those can go on for a bit longer. Those with good communication can play around that ultimate extremely well. Because they'll save their other ultimates for the Terra ultimate to reduce the cooldown to get those other ultimates back up online quicker. They'll play around it extremely well, they'll make sure it's communicated so where it's needed. Terra is going to be moving up to A+. Along with Noir, the biggest jump at that we see today. Final move is going to be Arachne. I honestly thought they still needed to draft, the enemy team needed to draft, sorry, around a certain style for Arachne to then be viable. But once again, NA comes to the savior of Arachne mains out there. You still have to draft your own team comp around the Arachne, I feel. I still think you have to set up correctly to defend those webs at level 1 to make sure that you get that start that you need on the Arachne. But the enemy team can just be anything, and you'll be fine to pick that Arachne into it. Arachne going to be moving up to B, leaving Arpwash, sad little Arpwash, down in C by himself. Currently considered by myself and by many to be the least competitively viable god in the game. Hope he gets some love soon. Kind of not, though, because any meta with an Arpwash in it is going to be absolute... it's going to be difficult to deal with. So, that's going to do it for the tier list update for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in a couple weeks' time for the next one. Peace.